The Box Seat, brought to you by our stable of sponsors: Woodland Stud, Brecon Farms, New Zealand Bloodstock Standardbred, Stonewall Stud, the clubs Alexandra Park, Cambridge, Addington and Ashburton, Garrard's Horse and Hound, and IRT. It's your horse and our passion. Hi everyone, welcome in to another edition of your Box Seat, and again a big thank you to our stable of sponsors getting behind your show. Michael Guerin, we know the Ashburton Flying Stakes is the key lead-up race to the IRT New Zealand Cup. As I say, hi to you, and it's only a few days away now.
Yeah, hi Greg, big hi to everybody watching around the country, and of course to our friends in Australia watching on the Sky platforms over there. You're right, we have a hell of a race day coming up on Monday. And Greg, it's time for the talk from each island to stop, and let's just compare the heavyweights. Spankham, Self Assured, a bit of help coming in from Ashley Locas back from Australia, up against hard copy of Mark Shard, who with the withdrawal of Bellamontana, Greg, are probably the big two from the North Island. That market for the New Zealand Cup is going to change dramatically, one would think, one way or the other, Gregory, mid-Monday afternoon.
Yeah, it certainly is, Michael. We'll get into that very shortly, but we need to go back to Addington Raceway from last week with our good friends from Brecon Farms. Trotting performances of the week, there were a couple of those. We go to the 24th running of the IRT Trotteurs Sires and Addington Raceway last Thursday night. The performance of Wanna Play With Me, emulating what her mother was able to do 4 or 5 years ago. We'll get Matt Cross to bring them home and then hear from co-trainer Mark Purden.
Two out of my way, trying hard. Bit of muscle, can't run on. It's Wanna Play With Me, clear of out of my way. Bit of muscle and time up the hill, but it's Wanna Play With Me. It's Shades of Mum. Wanna Play With Me won it by 3.5. Second in out of my way. I think Bit of Muscle might have just held third ahead of time up the hill.
Well, she built nicely to this with a couple of soft kills, if you like, but I reckon that might have even surprised you.
Well, yes and no, Greg. You know, you're taking on the boys and you've got to be a little bit wary of that, but training was very, very good, and I thought at times against the older horses weren't far behind what they were running in the 3-year-old trots.
All right, that was her main goal, so nice wee break now, and there's a whole lot more fun ahead, isn't there?
Oh, there is, yes. It'll be an exciting season from here on with her, and so a well-earned break, and we'll look forward to it.
Right, strong stable clients, obviously Trevor Casey and Kate Marriott, but to have Peter Ryder involved in this one too, and he helps you out a lot around there, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's there every Saturday morning, Pete, or if we're under a bit of pressure, he gets the call up, so it's great to have him involved, and a great thrill for him as well.
Yeah, the IRT Trotter sponsorship there. Love you, Cornell. A bit of muscle out of Lot of Love. I love you, Mir, of course, Michael. So great to have them associated with that race, and they dominated the finish. I thought Out of My Way, outstanding. Off the back row, had to come 3 wide and do a power of work. So we know how good a stayer, or potentially, he is.
We've mentioned it a couple of times, Gregory, since the box seat came back. I think these 3-year-olds are going to take, or 2-year-olds becoming 3-year-olds, are going to take turns. I don't think it's a dominant horse, even though that was a very dominant performance in this crop. I think a lot of them also are probably a little bit out of whack. They were being bought up pre-COVID. They then had extended seasons, a break at a time of the year. They wouldn't have a break, Greg. I can see some of them weakening off and changing and growing. So there's a lot more to be written, but already she was well bred. She's now embellished her future broodmare career, and of course, now the 3-year-old season is upon us. She has 2 options. She can go to all those female races too, because series like the Breeders' Crown in Australia, Greg, they're female-male split. So lots to like about lots of horses in this crop, but I just had the feeling a few of them, Greg, were just weakening off, and maybe that upside down season sort of got to the bottom of them. Is that how you felt?
Yeah, I think so, and I'm with you. I think things are going to change and ebb and flow throughout the season 2020-21. The other trotting performance of the night came from one of our rising stars in the 4-year-old ranks, Muscle Mountain. Took on the free-for-allers for the first time. Not only did that, sat outside them and did this.
29.6, Muscle Mountain going to Majestic Man, race on. Muscle Mountain Mountain took over a length and a half, 2 lengths clear of Majestic Man. Heavyweight Hero getting through, running on the Dominator. Matuatana Gallop, 75 to go. Muscle Mountain a length, Heavyweight Hero trying hard. Muscle Mountain, oh boy, he's right up to the mark, this horse. Muscle Mountain too good after sitting part 1 at a length. Heavyweight Hero second, third in Splash Cola, fourth in the Dominator.
Well, Ben, it was a big step up tonight, but geez, taking it with great aplomb.
Yeah, that's right. You know, like we've always known he was a super horse, and we came here with a bit of confidence, but it's hard to be too confident when you're versing horses that have won serious Group 1 races. So, you know, to sit outside them and beat them was, a serious performance.
One of the real pleasing things was the way he relaxed sitting in the park position. He is a horse that can get on the job when he wants to, so that must have been really pleasing.
That's right, yeah. No, he was definitely a lot more relaxed than I thought. It would have been good if he was probably a little bit kinder, but in saying that, he's making small steps all the time, so, that's all you can ask for.
Ashburton Trotter's Flying Mile, I know, was the next one on the radar, but I think your mum and dad have got some thinking to do here. Is it still going to be the New Zealand free-for-all, or do we consider a shot at the Majestic Sun Dominion?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Like, the Flying Mile probably won't go there. Just Ashburton, he's never quite really handled that track. So I think still the main aim will be Cup Day, but, we haven't ruled out the Dominion, but the Cup Day is the main aim at this stage.
So we now know that clearly he's not in the field for Ashburton. He was outstanding, Michael. He's now won 8 from 11 to sit outside. Majestic Man, who I followed up on his performance with Phil Williamson, and he said, if you recall what happened in that race, it was a false start. Winterfell lost his lolly, if you like, and ran into the gate at one stage, and he became quite intimidated, really agitated. So I think we can just completely rule a line. That's exactly what Phil's done. They got a blood test, got everything checked out. He seems fine. So he can bounce back in that trot that we'll preview shortly. But Heavyweight Hero was very good. Splash Cola didn't mind the run of Woodstone, who was making good ground late in the piece. But take all of them aside, he could not have gone any better, Muscle Mountain.
Hard not to feel, Greg, we're seeing a partial passing of the baton from Majestic Man being one of those leading sprint horses and a horse who ran second into Dominion, Winterfell obviously is now leaving the All-Stars and heading to Regan Todd. I'm not saying that era is over, as small as it may well have been, but with Markula having retired and a few of the others, Greg, I think the new horses coming in might be better than most of these. Now, that's excluding Sunday Sun. Sunday Sun's probably the most talented trotter in the country. And, of course, Oscar Bonavina is parked away. He's not available for the first half of this season due to injury. So I reckon they can run with these horses, but when you take Muscle Mountain and the field we have at Alexandra Park coming up on Friday night, headed by Bonk for Brilliance and Cracker Hill, I don't see those other horses being able to beat them most days of the week. I'm not saying it's going to be the case over 2 miles in the Dominion, because I think most of the 4-year-olds won't turn up in the Dominion, Greg, but if it was my horse, I'd miss the Dominion. With all those 4-year-olds, I'd miss it. I'd wait, because there's so many sprint mobile type races through Christmas and December. But yep, Gregory, at the moment, Sunday Sun's top seed. Oscar's on the reserves bench, and these 4-year-olds are the ones who are making all the play.
And of course that race was the Austin Farrier Supplies. Roger Austin brought all the local farriers from Canterbury out. They had a great night up there in the Silk Suite, so a big thank you to him for his support and getting behind what was a really good trotting race. Speaking of a good trotting race, Michael, the What the Hill Trotters Flying Mile out of Ashburton. Now an opportunity for both this race and the Lather Up Flying Stakes for you to put a tender in. You can do so, and I'll give you the details about that in a moment by heading to the Ashburton Raceway and talking to Jeff McLaughlin and the team there. But the market for this, Michael, we're having a look at Temporale from the inside, $3.50. We know the good gate speeds there. Habibi Inter, who's clearly capable of winning this race, at $6, $4.80 for Majestic Man. Will he bounce back? Well, he has the gate speed to launch early. And then you've probably got the dark horse in the race, if you like, in Dark Horse, who follows out Temporale.
Yeah, I think the gate speed's crucial at the start here, because Heavyweight Hero gets off quick, and as does Majestic Man, we know that. But Temporale's probably at least as quick, if not quicker, than both of them. And if they want to hold up from the inside, if they want to, I think he will. And that would give potentially Dark Horse, who was maybe a run short at Addington last time coming off the handicap, potentially a trail. It doesn't always work out that way. And often at Ashburton, those sort of 4 to 6 barriers allow you to roll on to the lead because you get more of a head of steam up. But if Temporale wants to lead, Greg, he'll be awfully hard to beat. I'm not sure $3.50's his price. Interesting time for Majestic Man. And those horses like that, as mentioned before, they're going to need to start stepping up to win these races. Otherwise, they're going to start to lose potentially some of the respect of being handed the lead for races like the Free For All. By the way, talking about the Free For All coming up, Greg, Tough Monarch is coming now. Josh Dickey to do the driving on Tough Monarch, both in the Free For All and the Dominion, because of course Anthony Butt, who drove him last year, can't make it back for the Carnival. I'll probably going Temporale, because even if he doesn't lead, Greg, he'll probably trail. What do you like in the Ashburton Trotters Flying Mile?
Yeah, I'm prepared to give Majestic Man a chance to bounce back. We've got selections here from Matt Markham as well, who not only writes for the Ashburton Guardian, the local paper, he edits that actually. He is on the club there at Ashburton, and he went Temporale to beat Majestic Man and Habibi Inter. We've got his selections for the Flying Stakes as well. Before we get to that though, we need to go back to Addington Raceway to review the performance of Classy Brigade, celebrating 120 years for the New Zealand Metropolitan Trotting Club last Thursday night, and he did this. Stylish Memphis was in front, rolling along, and she looked home, and the time she ran was nothing short of outstanding, but he was able to get over the top, charge to the line. We'll hear from John Dunn post-race as he flew up the Addington straight.
Classy Brigade from the back, 150 to go. Stylish Memphis 2 lengths. The Dunn pair are coming after her. Classy Brigade wide out. Henry Hubert the middle. Classy Brigade coming quickly at Stylish Memphis from last to first. Classy Brigade won it. Classy Brigade beat Henry Hubert, Stylish Memphis and the Fixer.
Well, he's been in great form, and tonight to break the national record proves his Cup campaign's right on track.
Yeah, it is, and like you say, he's in great form, and it was good they went hard up front, which he sort of loves, so he still gets home the same sort of fractions, which is good. So no, it's really good, sort of this close lead to the Cup.
Probably nice that someone else was doing that in front rather than you, because it's generally you and your set of colours, your dad's set anyway.
Yeah, definitely. That's the races we get going, and yeah, it's hard like when they walk around and sprint quick sections. Like you say, normally I'm the one that does it, so it's good for a change for someone else.
Johnny was luckless in the Cup last year. It'd be pretty hard to argue that he's not in at least as good form going into it this year.
Yeah, I'd say it'd have to be going as good, really. Like, yeah, he's a neat old horse. He don't tax himself much by runs, so no, he's in really good form. So long we can carry it on.
Where to next? He was great at Kaikoura last year, as we know. Ashburton's beckoning as well, 10 days away. So where do you go?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, Ashburton would be a real hard one. It could be a real gut buster, especially if he's going to go to. He'll probably definitely go to Kaikoura. So don't know if we need that hard one in between or not. I reckon the track does take a lot out of them, so we might have to bypass that one. Kaikoura then Cup.
Just quickly on Henry Hubert, good to have him back too.
Yeah, a lot better run. Just a few wee niggly problems. They haven't quite got him back as same form as last year, but I think we're getting there, which is we're sort of on track. Hope we can keep him going too.
So he managed to break the Fixers record, Michael, that he set 10 days before he won the Cup a couple of years ago. Still not quick enough to beat a Dormee's remarkable 308.7, but he's in the zone, Classy Brigade. Good runs from Henry Hubert, Stylish Memphis. She was obviously in need of a run, but her time overall was outstanding to boot. The Fixer was okay in fourth and better than Fast in fifth. I thought was not too bad either, and he goes to the Tuapeka Cup. But Classy Brigade is a strong hope in the Cup, at least for a place.
Yeah, he was last year too. You would go an awfully long way back, Gregory. In fact, since before I started following harness racing, and I started following when I was 7, and that was 43 years ago, to think of 2 New Zealand Cup lead-up races in the South Island, back to back, where the winners come from last at the 800. It just... Spanker might have been second last at Methven at the 800. It just never happens. It's not the way modern racing works, particularly because they come so fast off the last 800 off the front. Spanker nearly last at Methven at the 800 and close to last at the top of the straight. And Classy Brigade doing something I've never seen from him, Greg. We didn't even think of him as being a horse who can come from last. Now, I know they ran hard, and that the tempo of the race will help Stylish Memphis heading forward for the fillies final, because she probably needed a gutbuster to get her ready. But that was pretty impressive, Greg. And on Classy Brigade's best form, he's the only horse, I think, who can win the Cup or even go close to winning the Cup, who won't be in the Flying Stakes at Ashburton. So I still don't think he'll win the Cup. I think he'll win the Kaikoura Cup. And he'll be the horse who can potentially make the New Zealand Cup, because we always think he's going to be in front. So he's a horse, Greg, I wouldn't be stunned if we're talking about him if the show exists in 2 years' time starting in the Cup. He might be the poor man's Flashing Red.
He's done a great job. He's won over $400,000. Just before we get into the Flying Stakes with Lather Up, here's those details around the tender for the Ashburton Raceway. So we'll What the Hill and Lather Up. PO Box 54 Ashburton, or go to their email office at ashburton.co.nz. You need to put your tenders in by the 30th of October.
Hey, Gregory, just on that, a lot of people here would say, I don't know Lather Up. I saw Lather Up race when I was up in the States, checking out Lazarus that time. Man, he was a hell of a horse. Like, he's got that incredibly high cruising speed. So it's impossible to tell whether a horse is going to make a stallion, but Lather Up is a horse I would have thought, Greg, might add that real American feel to some of our horses down there, for anybody who's interested in that sort of thing, because sometimes when you see a horse in the flesh, they make an impression, and he definitely made an impression on me.
Speaking of impressions, before we get into this race, I think it's appropriate now, Michael, that we mention the passing of a great friend of harness racing, a good friend of both of ours. And you often describe horses as proper horses. Jeff Scott, who passed away this week, was a proper bloke, and he did so much for so many people. As you mentioned on the show last week, to Nick and the family, the two boys, our sincere condolences. He's one of life's true gentlemen, Jeffrey John Scott.
Yeah, I believe you've got a picture of our old mate. I'm glad he's at peace now. Jeffy had a tough last year. He passed with the family, sitting on the bed with them, and yeah, he wrote so many stories about so many people, which would have been kept, in their scrapbooks on their horses. And people who do that for a job record the history of the industry, and sometimes I get worried the history is going to disappear, Greg, because there aren't many of those people around anymore. But he did it with a lot of class. He didn't have a lot of arguments with people. He was a gentleman. He was a mentor to me, and people like him and Dave Cannon. Just a lovely, lovely fellow. And harness racing and everybody who had any contact with Jeffrey is worse off for his loss. So I agree with you, Greg. Details on the funeral, I believe 2 o'clock on Saturday, is that correct?
Yeah, that's right, at the Academy funeral parlour there in Stockburn it is. I think it's about 65 Main South Road. So, yep, there'll be plenty of people turn out there to farewell Jeff, and a race that he always loved. The key lead-up race, of course, is the Flying Stakes with Lather Up. Let's have a look at the market for it. You spoke about it at the top of the show, Michael. This will be the defining race in terms of favouritism for the Cup. We have Copy That making his way here. He's third favourite at $4.80, Self-Assured $2.30 and $2.60 about Spankum. They've drawn alongside each other, obviously Self-Assured off the unruly. This will be a real race.
I think a lot's going to come down to the start. Gee, it's hard to come from off the speed at Ashburton. Once those good horses, and there's plenty of them here, once they get up on the speed, Greg, they'll just roll home in 54.5 or quicker. It's going to be really interesting what they attempt to do with Spankum Self-Assured if they both step, and we can only presume they're going to. Whether they say, if again, it's an if, a Spankum can lead, do we let Self-Assured get the lead off us, in which case both horses get the perfect run into the final, or whether they say with a Spankum, hey, we're more likely to be in front of the New Zealand Cup, and we're going to want to keep that advantage, so if we lead at Ashburton, we're hammered down. Where Copy That fits into all of that, I don't know, Greg, and it probably depends on how quickly he steps at the start. Unusual experience for him. He wouldn't have had a lot of standing start experience in a broad front line of 7 or 8 horses like he's going to have this week, so I think being drawn out wide is probably a good thing. I think they're the big 3 winning chances. Actually, Locaz was okay at Menangle last Saturday. He's come straight back, but very different type of racing for what he's been doing. And Mark Shard has been good enough that he can at least be a chance. But Greg, if I'm having a bet now, I think the market's tight enough because it's not the bookie's job to give money away. So the market will loosen up a touch. I'm backing Spankham. I think he's the most likely of the big three to reach the front, and he's a horse who probably wouldn't need to concede if he got there. But so much could change, Greg, between now and Monday, and then this is going to have such an impact on the market. If Copy That wins, he might be favourite for the New Zealand Cup, Greg.
Yep.
So what's your tip in the Flying Stakes?
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with Spankham. I think he's certainly the horse on the rise. Of course, Ashley Lopez started last Saturday night, and he was going to go to Kaikoura, but they put him in. He doesn't actually land in New Zealand until Thursday, as I understand it. So, yeah, hopefully he's in tip-top condition, and therefore he'll take his place on Monday.
Just a question for you,
Yep.
Gregory. If Spankham wins this, he's favourite for the New Zealand Cup?
Yeah, that's right. Let's have a look at the market for it now. We still see Self Assured as favourite, but yeah, I think it'll flip around. I really do, because if he beats Self Assured again, and yes, he had a tougher run, Self Assured in the Methven Cup, but if he beats him again, then he has to start favourite. Is that the way you see it?
Look, I think so. What's going to be interesting for me about Copy That is how he handles Ashburton. Ashburton can be a tricky track on some horses. If you've never been there before, it can trip a few up, and he can be a bit skippy. So I'm hoping he just zooms around it. I actually hope he wins. But he's not as safe a bet as Spankham. Of course, Copy That gets a new driver this week with Blair Orange getting back on, because he's the South Island driver for the horse. It's a hell of a race, Greg. I'm looking forward to the day, and it feels like we've been having a lot of conversations and we're sort of getting there, but now it's the rubber hitting the road. So we also have the trotters and the 3-year-olds. So I think it's probably the strongest Ashburton day, Greg, we might have seen in the last 10 or 15 years, maybe even 20 years, heading back to the days of Christian Cullen versus Heracles in this race. Yeah,
exactly. It's 5 of the last 10 winners, of course, of this race have gone on and won the New Zealand Cup. And there's the road to the Cup, the Flying Stakes, and to Kaikoura. Don't forget about their 2 days, and of course their Calcutta on the Sunday night, which is always a whole lot of fun. The Cup trial, which will be run about 6 o'clock. That's traditional time on the Wednesday. Our show will be on the Wednesday, and we'll give you further details about the preview show that will be on Monday the 9th. So that's the road to the IRT New Zealand Cup. The road to the Sire Stakes with Woodlands saw us at Cambridge, Michael Guerin, to see BD Joe, who had the barrier draw to work from and was able to produce an outstanding performance here. Found the front. Benjamin Butcher said, I'm going to get American Dealer to try and chase me down. Was he able to? If you haven't seen it, let's look at it unfold.
American Dealer tries to reel him back. BD Joe, American Dealer dashing late. BD Joe. BD Joe beats American Dealer. Third across General Montana.
He's won 2 of his last, of his 5 starts rather. 154.6 mile rate, Michael. American Dealer couldn't run him down. A very positive drive by Benjamin, and he was able to win. Big group of owners amongst them. Mitch Davis, who's got a small share in this one, of course, son of Steve, and they're on track to see it as well. And he's come a long way in a quick time, this horse.
He sure has. He's been the surprise package of the entire spring. There's Steve, the old Silver Fox. Had a good chat to him last week at the Ready to Runs. Yeah, they do a great job, Stonewall Stud. I mean, you think about how many people they drag into racing and get the enthusiasm. Mitch is an absolute gem. He's one of those young guys in racing you wish you could clone, and just 1,000 of those people who are intelligent, hard-working, enthusiastic people in harness racing, and of course for the gallops are great. So yeah, good to have Mitch on board. Good to see the Silver Fox there, and good on Stonewall Stud. They do such a super job. I didn't see this horse coming as an emerging horse quite this quickly, Gregory. Look, he's beaten the Sire Stakes winner there. Gate speed's a great thing. He's had a lot of good barrier draws, but he's improving so sharply. He has to be a chance in the final at Addington. American Dealer probably lost nothing in defeat, but he was, I don't know, he was a bit ho-hum out of the gate. I think David maybe held on to him a touch. They're in the final. Both those two missed the Sire Stakes heat this week at Alexandra Park, which is the first on the card on Friday night. And because they miss it, it's actually a really good opportunity for a couple of other horses, including Luke John. It's a lot weaker than any of the other heats so far in the series. American Dealer heads to Ashburton, Greg, as the travelling companion for Copy That.
Yeah, and we'll have a look at both those races shortly. You mentioned Stonewall Stud. They get behind this show, so we need to learn a little bit more about them. And Michael Guerin caught up with Jill Stockman to find out what the Stonewall Stud operation's all about as we go to a break.
Well, the open class horses aside, Jill, it's been a really strong start to the season.
Yeah, look, the stable's going really well, and as with racing, you always have your ups and downs, but we've got 11 wins on the board, and no, we're really happy with how things are going.
And big numbers of horses who can be competitive at Alexandra Park. A few Quinellas in play so far this season too.
Yeah, we have. We've had I think we've got 3 wins in one night. We had a trifecta, and yeah, it's good to have the horses that can race here. Not all of them can, but that's what we're aiming for.
Syndication's become a huge part of the business for Stonewall Stud. And off the top of your head, how many people do you think you've got involved in harness horses at the moment?
Well, we do a weekly newsletter, and that's probably going out to between 400 and 500 people.
I know the weanling sales, you guys sat down and were tapping away on the computer and maybe got a touch too excited.
Yeah, we had a good afternoon. We probably did get a bit carried away, but I think we got 9 in the end, and we're really happy with them, and hopefully they'll do the job for us.
Let's talk about the syndications, because so many of the horses have been successful. When does the next bunch of syndications stop, and are there many shares left, and what sort of horses do we have available?
Most of the syndicates are still open. We tend to shut them just before the horses head to the trials, or around December, January before the next sales. There's still shares available. There's a couple that are looking like hopefully going to be 2-year-olds. We've got one up here called Spirit of the Game. There's still a few shares left in him. And Michael's got one down in Christchurch called Bo Duke, and he looks like he's going to be a 2-year-old type as well. But they've all broken in really well, and really happy with them. Yeah.
What's it like having so many, for want of a better word, owners in the syndicates? It must be a lot of work for somebody, a lot of phone calls, a lot of communication.
Well, with technology these days, we do a lot of it by email. I still post out information to people, because a lot of our syndicate members are seniors, and I get a couple that ring me during the week, but that's all fine, it's all part of it, and yeah, I'm available to talk to anyone, so yeah, doesn't worry me.
Stables now in the North Island and the South Island, how are you and Steve finding that experience?
Look, at the moment we've only got a couple of horses down south that his sister Amanda's doing down there, and she'll be back after the Cup meeting. In probably a year's time, when we have the southern base, yeah, it'll be a completely different dynamic, and it will give Steve more options for placing the horses to where they can get, race at their best. And yeah, it'll be good. We'll probably get a few more South Islanders involved, and yeah.
All right, Jill, so if somebody's watching this and they think, look, I like the way this operation sounds, obviously there's a lot of success. What's the lowest amount of money you could spend to get into a horse?
For a 1%, the set monthly cost is $34, and our horse buying price, I think David Niven starts at $257, and I think Bo Duke was the dearest at around $1,600. Yeah.
Okay, and people just go to your website to get that information?
Yes, to the website, or you can ring me on my mobile. I think everyone's seen the ads going in the local papers, so yeah.
Well, best of luck heading forward for what's going to be a busy time. We're hoping the Cup horses start to progress through the spring and end up in the right sort of form for the second Tuesday in November.
Look, that'd be great, but horses are horses, and if he's not meant to be there, not meant to be there. But we'll probably have some other horses in on the day anyway, so it's always great to have something racing in Cup Week.
Welcome back into your box seat, back to Addington Raceway for another heat of the Woodland Sires Stakes, and Shan Noble Well, he got the opportunity to sit behind Pace and Pride and unleash up the Addington Straight. Might have been a surprise to some, certainly got out to decent odds, about $5.80 on the tote, and he's a 3-year-old on the move.
Tries to go with him. Then Aladdin dashing Major Arden's ace. Pace and Pride a half. Shan Noble goes to him. Pace and Pride, Shan Noble. Not much between them. Shan Noble puts his head in front and got up. Shan Noble won it. Beat Pace and Pride. It's a better's delight, Quadella.
Well, they're famous thoroughbred colours, the Gerald Chan colours, and he's got a nice pacer, hasn't he?
He has, Greg, yeah, and I think the best thing we did was give him sort of 10 days off after his last campaign, and his work's been good. I probably didn't go into it expecting to beat Pace and Pride, but I'm probably just not surprised he did either.
Got a beautiful run in the trail throughout. What does he do between now and Cup Day, where the big final is, of course?
He's not too tightly assessed, so he'll get a run on his grade at some stage, and then, you know, we'll look forward to Cup Day with him.
And he's at Ashburton in race 9 from a stand, so finding a race not easy if you're away from those sire stakes heats. So let's have a look at the Ashburton heat, though. It sees the rivalry resume, Michael, between It's All About Faith, who has the draw again, barrier 2, $2.40, and Krug, $2.05, the opening line for those two. Well, what do you think might happen here at Ashburton? I'm sure they'll run time, and of course American Dealer's got barrier 1.
I think it'll be a different race from what we saw at Addington last time, Greg, because Mark Purdon obviously conceded to Krug at the start. He decided we can't go to war every start heading into what's going to be an awfully long campaign. It's already been a long campaign. I think at around Ashburton you can't do that. I think he'll lead on It's All About Faith, or American Dealer will lead probably the first of those things, makes them lead trail. And I think there's no handing up to Krug on Monday. I think Krug is clearly the best horse in this crop, and he might still win. But I don't want to be backing him this week, so not at that sort of price. I think those horses lead trailing, Greg. They'll give Krug plenty to think about, even though I think everybody watching this show knows Krug's the best.
All right, you go back to that first heat of race 1, at Alexandra Park on Friday night as well. We have Luke John at a really short quote. I think he deserves to be the way he's been going.
A lot of depth to this horse. He got a bit lost last time. He dorked around a bit before he won his race. My concern this week is over the 1700 metres where the General Montana jumps to the lead and gives him a fair bit to chase. I think he deserves to be favourite, but I'm not entirely sure he's a 1700 metre horse quite as much as he's a 2200 metre horse or a staying horse heading forward. Interesting to see how General Montana improves here, because speaking to Barry Purdon, he's adamant he's a sire stakes final horse. He's going to need to prove it on Friday night, Greg.
In terms of the market for that final, $1.80 for Krug. Look, he deserves to be at that sort of quote, because let's face it, if he draws 1 to 5 in the final, he's going to take all sorts of beating. You can get $4.20 about It's All About Faith and $7.50 for American Dealer. Pace and Pride should be improved from last week. I think he's a horse on the rise, but he's got to rise pretty quickly, Michael, because we're inside 3 weeks out from that final now.
Well, if you take those top two and then American Dealer maybe a smidgen below them, or maybe It's All About Faith and American Dealer on the same level and Krug above them, BD Joe's probably the horse who's come into play. Shan Noble's a horse improving. I've said it about the 3-year-old trot as well, Greg. Because it's such an unusual season and they had breaks at times that don't usually have breaks, and because they're being asked to travel, race 2, 3 at the same sort of campaign, to be completely honest, I wouldn't be surprised if there's horses who have a blip on their radar. Krug, being a better's delight, appears to be relatively blipless so far, but I'm going to be careful about that, Greg. I just think, and I'll be interested to hear the thoughts of Blair Orange heading into Krug and Monday's race. I might ring him for the Herald and for Harness Racing New Zealand, because if he's going back at the start, that's crucial information, and of course we don't have presenters on track anymore, so it's going to be hard for them to find that out. So I'll try and get hold of Blair and try and alert people via the print mediums and online, because that may be the winning and losing of Monday's race.
Yeah, 11 races there at Ashburton on Monday. Massive day for them. $100,000 terminating pick 6 as well. So do all your form. You can get that at HRNZ, of course, and all of those markets will be out. And a big thanks again to Matt Peden and the team there at the bookies, getting the markets for us nice and early so we can play them on this show. It's a big program there. Ever wondered how some of our horses get their name? Well, one of our star trotters, 4-year-old, his name is Bolt for Brilliance. So I went out and found out how he got his name, and this is an intriguing story. Well, Brad, now we know how Bolt for Brilliance was named.
Yep. Yeah, one of those things, eh? You do when you're a bit younger, and I guess not as much fear of retribution, but it's a good story, and yeah, that's how he got his name anyway.
The question most people will be sitting at home was, did you actually ever get caught?
Nah, that was sort of, I remember arriving on the day and for all intents and purposes just felt like I was going to be arrested, so I did my assignment for uni the day before, and when we got there on the day, we parked the van around the corner, which was meant to be a getaway vehicle, but as we arrived, we realised the security guards wearing the rugby boots that looked the fastest were standing at the wrong end, so we changed to plan B, and yeah, it sort of come about. We got out the ground and all the way home untouched, so it was quite good in that respect.
This was early Facebook days, was it? This was a bit of a challenge for you guys.
Yeah, we were at uni and sort of in a group in marketing communications, and sort of put to me that if we got 5,000 fans, potentially have a crack, and I didn't really ever expect to get to there, and came home from being a kitchen hand one night and had to do it.
Yeah, right. Well, it's a great yarn, and now the horse that you bred is turning into a superstar.
Yeah, mate, it's a bit, it's hard to explain really, like you sort of hear you guys talking about him and pinch yourself, because I've grown up as a kid watching your show and wanting to be involved in the industry, and yeah, he's just one out the box, isn't he? So.
How did you get the mare? Too Much to Do? How did that all come about?
So prior to actually getting the role with the breeders, I was pretty keen on breeding a horse of my own. We'd been racing some nice trotters like Father Christmas and Cuddly Jess, and thought I want to sort of get involved at a deeper level, and actually found her for lease on the Standardbred Breeders website. Yeah, so I borrowed her for a year, and the rest is history.
Yeah, by Muscle Hill. And how much of a buzz is it for you watching him do what he is doing on the track?
It's a real buzz, mate. You know, I get really nervous pre-race and during the race, and find it quite hard to watch, to be honest. Sort of, I don't own a hair in the horse anymore, but I sort of feel like I do, you know. It's yeah, it's real buzz.
All right, you've carried your breeding on. We're standing here with Classical. She's a two-time Group 1 winner, and she won a couple of Sales Series races as well, and now you're breeding from her.
Yeah, no, this is the old girl, and she's looking pretty good for 21, I must say, and yeah, no, she's in foal to American Ideal. Quietly hoping she has a nice filly on the ground in the next couple of weeks.
The job, the role that you have, this is obviously a passion. It's way more than just a job, isn't it?
Mate, as you know, working in the industry, it's all encompassing, you know, like this, it never really stops, and I love it. I wouldn't have it any other way. It's a great challenge trying to keep people interested and involved in breeding, because, as you know, it's not an easy game to be involved in, but we don't do it because we hate it. We love what we do, and we're optimistic people, and it's just great to be a part of.
Well, she looks like she's hoeing into the bailage there and enjoying it. We look forward to seeing her next foal, and it's a great yarn, the Bolt for Brilliance story. Thanks for sharing it with us, and yeah, looking forward to seeing what he can do this Friday night, which I'm sure you're as excited as the Connections and one Tony Hurley will be.
Yeah, mate, even better. I get a couple of vendor bonuses in the last couple of weeks if he wins, which might be the only thing other than a few photos on the wall. But hey, I'll take what I can get, and yeah, just enjoy seeing what Tony and the team do with him. So, all the best.
So he's a bit of a character. He might have toned things down slightly, Michael, since his streaking days there at the Basin, but he's a character, and there's no question he has a massive passion for this sport, and yeah, he's pretty proud of breeding this superstar, Bolt for Brilliance.
I've always wondered what possesses people to streak at the cricket or the rugby. Like, I've never been to the footy, Greg, and thought to myself, I might just get naked and go for a bit of a spin here. And I admire anybody who feels that way inclined. You're not supposed to do it, and by no means does Trackside or O'Connor Productions suggest it's a good idea. But you quite often see it at the Camara races after the last on the card, Gregory. Some of the boys and the occasional girl get their gear off and go for a spin. Yeah. Good on Brad. Look, he's a valuable part of the industry. What people like him and several other people involved with the, you know, like John Mooney, for example, with the Breeders Association do is massive for the industry, to give those people an information forum to keep them informed what's going on. But to breed one like that, when you love it as much as he does, Greg, and I don't want to preempt anything, but I think he might be the real deal Bolt for Brilliance. And I'm talking real deal, like win a couple of Row Cups real deal. So yeah. I know it's a long way to go yet, but he's not going to need to get much quicker. All he's going to need to do is stay sound, and it's sort of round 2 for those boys on Friday night at Alexandra Park, and he's going to need to be good again because Cracker Hill is drawn to lead, Greg, and he ain't going to wait for him.
No, he certainly isn't. The Hara D Trotters Sires Stakes. So Cracker Hill comes up with a beautiful barrier of 2. He didn't go down by much last time, Michael. He's $3.50. Bolt for Brilliance is $1.55. And I spoke to Phil Williamson about Ultimate Stride. He said, look, to be fair, he's not as comfortable right-handed. That was fairly evident in their first up runs. So he doesn't anticipate him improving enough to beat the other 2. But it's such a good stake, Michael. He's still got to go around. I've got a feeling that Cracker Hill will take a bit more beating this week. I'm not saying that he will beat Bolt for Brilliance, but he'll be in front of him, and when he finds the top, Michael, he's an incredibly hard horse to get past.
I agree with you for 2 reasons. First of all, the horse-drawn barrier 1 shouldn't get in his way, so he'll jump straight to the marker pegs. And I don't see there being any tempo in this race any more than Brad Williamson wants there to be tempo in this race. So they might just muck around for the first lap or even a bit longer. And you would think Cracker Hill will trot home in 55.5, 56 seconds off the front. Bolt for Brilliance may not have the toe into the race. He might just come sit parked. I still think he'll win, but I agree with you. At 350, you can really make a case for Cracker Hill here because he might be able to manipulate the race to exactly how he wants it, whereas last time he led, trailed, had to come back out and around again, and that cost him a length or 2. So going to be a good race. I think Bolt for Brilliance is the best of these horses, but Cracker Hill's a very advanced horse, Greg, and I think he's a horse who would be a winning chance in that New Zealand Free for All on Cup Day. So, as I said, the passing of the baton may have started. Whether these horses are quite up to Sunday's sun yet, I don't know, but over the summer, I think we're going to get some chances to find out.
It's a really good program on Friday night at Alexandra Park. I just want to quickly ask you about the free-for-all pace where we have a $2.20 favourite in South Coast Arden, $3.40 Star Galleria, $4.80 for On the Cards. South Coast Arden was good last time, eh? But
this market's wrong. This market is wrong. There's no doubts about that.
Yep.
He had a 30-metre head start over these horses last time, and he's a wonderful horse. Mango's doing a super job with him. By no means am I criticising him, but he hasn't got a 30-metre head start anymore. And I wouldn't be stunned if they launched a Star Galleria this week and tried to get across. Even On the Cards is very quick off the gate. I'm not saying he won't win South Coast Arden, but he's about a $4 chance in my mind because if they ran the race 100 times, he'd probably win it about 25 times, maybe 30. I don't think by any means is he a flip of the coin chance in the race, Greg. Star Galleria is interesting, what they do at the start with him. If they've got any confidence that he's any good anymore, this is the race they can launch in. There's no doubts about that. And On the Cards, still heading toward the New Zealand Cup, likely to go here, Kaikoura, and then to the Cup from there. So Bella Montana, obviously, as mentioned earlier, she's pulled out of the Cup, Gregory, and she will stick around for the mares races, then probably head to Sydney. That leaves Wild Excuse as the only mare, still a chance to make it to the New Zealand Cup.
Yeah, and she's certainly climbing up the rankings with those withdrawals. It's certainly helping her chances. We need to move on to Addington Race. We've got a Neville heat, Michael, where you might go, oh, there's only 3 starters in it. That's not great, but there's 3 serious horses. Plutonium Lady, Stylish Memphis, both from the Mark Jones team, and that other horse, Amazing Dream, at $1.33. Yeah, that'll be intriguing what unfolds here in this non-tote, but there is betting on it, and you can take the $1.33 if you like.
And you'd take it every day of the week. If you're having a bet on the Gallops, on the Hounds, on the NRL final on Sunday night, just multi this through everything you need to multi it through. It's that easy, Greg. $1.33. I thought they'd open at $1.12.
All right, we'll take the $1.33 about her. We need to move to Sunday, Michael, and the Tuapeka Cup. Gee, it's a good race, really good race coming out of the meeting there at Forbury Park. Just flick through the book here and grab race number 9, the Dan Cummings Memorial. You talk about names associated with harness racing. He's as famous as they get down south, the Tuapeka breed, of course. Memphis, Tennessee will be hard to beat on its last start performance, Michael. Gee, it was brave, ran second behind Pembroke Playboy, who's a horse that Nathan Williamson has a huge rap in. They got home in 55.3. I was surprised that Robbins Playboy, who's in the Tuapeka Cup, couldn't make ground, but I guess at that speed, it wasn't surprising. Also in the Tuapeka Cup is Spirit of St. Louis and obviously Robbins Playboy. I don't mind Better Than Fast. I mentioned his run in that record run last time. If he steps away and gets in front of them, he might take some catching, but it's always a very good race, and your Memphis, Tennessee off the front will get its chance.
It's one of the unpolished jewels of New Zealand harness racing. Every year it comes around and you go, wow, that was a really good race. And I think a distance race at Forbury Park there has a different level of excitement because they have to move at some stage. So yeah, it's always a race which produces a good horse and a good performance to win it. But this is a very, very good field because there's 3 or 4 horses here, Greg, who wouldn't be able to place in the New Zealand Cup. I'm not saying they'll be there this year, but they wouldn't be able to place there. So look, I'm happy to see Forbury back. It's not a place I bet into a lot myself because I don't know the horses quite as well as someone like Craig does. But I'm happy to see it back. I think it's got a place for now in the way we do harness racing in the South Island.
Yep, I don't disagree there. Just back to Addington too, don't forget Tango Tara goes round on Thursday night too as he gets a line on where he's at, Jim Curtin, with a build towards his New Zealand Cup campaign. I'm sure he can bounce back from that disappointing run at Methven. We're going to take a short break here on Your Box Seat, and when we come back with Garrards, we'll head across the Tasman and catch up what's been happening over there. Welcome back into Your Box Seat. We're in the home straight. Michael Guerin, we're challenging people to line up against us on show day. Yes, the Box Seat Punters Challenge at Addington Raceway. Show day's always a very good challenge. Put up your $600. Go to addington.co.nz to find out all the details. The Myer Foundation will be benefactors from us, or beneficiaries rather, if we're able to turn that 600 into a little bit more, which we're going to have a crack at.
So obviously there's going to be 12 races. I take it doesn't start on race 1, does it?
Yeah, it does. Yep.
Okay,
it's
so
the whole 12.
Minimum $50 per race.
Yep, that's it.
What else I need to know, because I'm going to try and win this because I need the money.
You're not getting the money. It's going to the Myer Foundation. I'm putting it up, or we are.
In case I don't care what happens. No, but fixed odds betting?
Yep, it covers both. Yep.
Okay, cool. And do we have our own area? Not you and me, but everybody involved?
Yeah, absolutely. Yep, so all the details are at addington.co.nz. It's always a great day. It's always a great day to have a punt.
Do they give you like a free beer or something, Greg?
Yeah, there'll be a drink on arrival and that sort of thing. And yeah, it's a great opportunity to mix with fellow punters. There's $4,000 worth of prizes there, so plenty of reasons to get involved. Like I say, go to Addington.
Do they have their own room or I'm
yes,
asking questions because I can't be bugger going to the website. No, do they have a room or marquee or something?
Yes, it's all in their own area. So like I say, you'll be mingling with people, like-minded people, Michael, and you can go head to head with them and try and win the Punters Challenge. It'll be good fun. It's run by the Markham brothers,
really?
Matt and Jeremy, and they always should be great fun. So make sure you get involved in that.
Am I going to be in there working? Am I, Greg, like running our punters?
No, I'll just get your advice on how we're going to spend some of the money, and
this is going to be fun.
Go from there. It will be. Yeah,
you do realise if we run last, people are going to think we're absolute big mouth idiots.
Yeah, well, I didn't think they thought that anyway, Michael, so that won't change. Let's go across the Tasman and find out with Garrards what's been happening over there before we get to Gloucester Park to see Chicago Bull just keep on winning. Hector JJ, he's unfortunately, his career has been curtailed once again, Michael.
Yep, the faster you go, the bigger the damage, and he had very fast legs, and those type of horses, Gregory, don't tend to stick around for long. They tend to break down, those ones who have that really high knee lift leg speed. Lovely horse, part owned by a friend of ours in Gareth Hall for part of his career. Ran second in Inter-Dominion to Smolder, where he was incredibly unlucky to run into Smolder that night. You talk about horses who get broken and sometimes they don't bounce back. Chicago Bulls bounce back. What a wonderful, brave little horse he was. He reared up about, I don't know, maybe 2 years ago now, in Pukekohe and broke his wither or something like that. And he wasn't pacing properly when he came back, but they've worked on him, the whole family, and they've just done a marvellous job. God, he must be a hell of a horse. He wants to be there, Greg. I mean, he's not the biggest horse in the world, but he wants to be there, and he's wanted to be there for an awfully long time. He won't go down as a champion. He might go down as a WA champion, but he's got the heart of a champion, Gregory.
Yeah, and he's won over $2 million now. 44 wins, by the way, for Hector JJ. This guy's up to 57 wins. So
is he really?
Yeah, he has. He's just been a super.
It's not one of those weird things that WA harness racing, because most people watching the show don't watch it. It's too late at night for them. Yep. I fully realise that. But you sort of wake up on Saturday morning and it's like, oh, you won another race. And you take it for granted, but 57 wins is a staggering career.
Yeah, 53 2-mile rate for him. A couple of other Kiwis doing the business over there. I'm Another Masterpiece and Our Princess Tiffany. I'm Another Masterpiece has gone back to back, Michael. He had to do a bit of work on this occasion. Found the top though, and it was too strong in the end. He's always been a good horse, of course, a former 2-year-old of the year.
Yep, now trained by Jess Tubbs and Greg Sugars, who are a couple, for those who don't know. And look, he's better placed over there. There's no real depth to the Victorian Open class horses. Obviously, Lochinvar Art's very good. Ride High is on the sidelines. This is Princess Tiffany, or Our Princess Tiffany as they call her, pulling to the outside here. And we haven't seen much of this in her career before because she probably hasn't needed to. She's been able to dominate off the front. Again, the mares there aren't stunning. They're good without being great. They went too hard here early. That was the issue here. But that's the first leg of the Triple Crown for the mares. Now, the last leg is the Queen of the Pacific. That'll be a little bit tougher for her because a pretty good horse from Sydney's coming down called Better in Force from the Craig Cross stable, and Have Time for Robbie and Kerry and Morris may head there as well. So it won't quite be that easy for her all the way through, but she's already proven the idea to take her out of the New Zealand Cup, which she couldn't win. Greg, and head across there is a smart move, very similar to what Barry's going to do with Bella Montana. It does worry me, Greg, where our mares sit year in, year out, because not many of them are Adore Me. And I think Bella Montana and Princess Tiffany are so good, and if they're not really competitive at cup class level, but we don't have enough open class horses to hold mares only races because that would cannibalise the open class races. I don't know what we do about that, but I think we need more races for just mares, whether it's the best mares, whether it's trotting mares, whether whatever it is, because they just can't compete with the boys 9 times out of 10.
All right, Turn It Up, of course, makes his way to Albion Park again for his second up run. He's drawn the outside, but he's in a race he probably should win, so look forward to seeing him go around. What about some of the hits and misses from the TAB? Matt Peden sent these through for us. We start with Jodie Doreen being well backed. 8,100 at $2.30 if you don't mind. Michael Yurakobi won the first at Addington, was a nice play as well. Muscle Mountain was heavily backed. And the $20,000 on Classy Brigade, there might have been some nervous times there.
You heard that before the race. About a lap from home, I thought, well, he's got no chance from back there. So I was wrong, and the person with the 20,000 was right. So, look, they're doing a good job, the TAB bookmakers, getting these markets out earlier. People can argue over percentages and how that all works. But it's up to you to bet when the right time is. If you think you're getting a good price early, go early. If you don't think you're getting a good price, wait. There's still that real attitude, Greg, from people to jump in at the first call, and you can get on for less if you're a winning punter, and markets have to retract, and therefore some prices have to go out. So, yeah, I think we still have a long way to go as punters in this country, Greg, because we're not raised on fixed odds and the variety of fixed odds to learn how to punt properly. But yeah, some good bets there. That 20k, that's ballsy stuff.
Yeah, it certainly is. What about what's ahead this week? We know Addington's Thursday, we know Alexandra Park's Friday, we know Forbury Tuapeka Cup Day Sunday, and the big go at Ashburton on the Monday. Just back to Muscle Mountain too. If you're worried about the rankings, you can go to HRNZ and get an update of those, but he was 20th into 15th. And then if Cracker Hill, of course, wins, he might jump in front of Muscle Mountain. So there's a bit of movement there in the Majestic Sun Dominion. Michael, what about bets of the week? I think you're 2 from 2, so can we make it 3 from 3?
Look, I've tipped a couple of even money chances that I won, Greg. There's no heroics in that, so we'll go a bit wider this week. I like Christians Have Time. I think for Logan and Shane, he's turning into a really good horse. I'm just a little bit concerned there might not be enough tempo in his race at Alexandra Park, but if that tempo turns up, I think he's an open class horse. I think he's a horse who could turn up in an Auckland Cup. And just that little bit of smidgen of tempo in the first 800, and he can be winning at Alexandra Park at what might be $4 or $5. I'm not sure of the price, but he should be around there from a second line over 2,200.
Yeah, and I'm happy to be on, just checking her second name, yeah, Lady Matara. Thought she was very unlucky first up for the Robert and John Dunn team, and I reckon it'll win race number 3. Bit of talent under the bonnet there. What about what we've got coming up shows-wise? Well, we're stock standard leading in to Cup Week, but on the Monday, Michael, we will have the preview show recorded on Monday, played out at 9 p.m. on Monday night, so straight after weigh-in, that other show that you're on, 8 till 9, and then into the preview show, and then it'll replay an hour prior to live racing on IRT New Zealand Trotting Cup Day, which I think starts at 11 o'clock, so it'll be a 10 o'clock play out the next morning. We'll have plenty of information from all of the key players, Michael, leading into the biggest day in New Zealand racing, bar none.
Yeah, it's getting really serious now, Greg, and obviously with Mondays being the next 2 major races, it's a good chance for us to inform people of what happened and look forward. Most importantly, to our family of sponsors, thank you for looking after us and giving us a chance to tell all these different stories and promote harness racing. This show now heads into Australia, so our product's getting plenty of oomph over there, but we couldn't do it without you, and that's everybody from Harness Racing New Zealand to Addington to Alexandra Park to clubs like Cambridge, Ashburton, and of course, all of those studs and breeding establishments, Greg. It's a collaborative effort, as it has been in both codes, to get these shows back. And I want people to realise a lot of that money comes not because people were looking to drive their business, they looked at it to it too, but they're looking to say, hey, this is an important industry and we want to be behind it. So head into Cup time. Support our sponsors because they're supporting your industry.
Yeah, nice way to go out as well. Got a photo from Ken and Karen Breck and Majestic Sun out of the Group 1 winner Dead Cat Bounce. So nice to get this photo of this little colt as well. That's been your box seat for this week. In 7 days' time, we'll be back. Michael, thanks for your input. Don't forget to contact us at BoxSeatNZ. That's on the Twitter handle, or boxseatnz@gmail.com. We'll see you in a week.